You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Yeah, the Spurs offseason continues, which means we're still going to look back at the season that was a 2021-22 season and look at the players individually, give them a grade, pros, cons, likes, dislikes, room for improvement. You know how it goes. We're also going to look at the remaining Spurs reps in the NBA playoffs and have some fun with our guest as he's going to give us his thoughts. It's not going to spoil anything for you on Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, a very dividing movie right now. It's really, you're either for it or against it, but I'm pretty sure our guest, James Pledger with San Antonio Sports Star, will chime in with his thoughts. The good thing is, James, that we don't have a time limit on this show, so if you want to pop off on that, go ahead.
I appreciate that. I think there might be some popping off at some point.
But yeah, welcome back. He is with, as mentioned, San Antonio Sports Star. He is the host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. He'll tell you everything you need to know about that and much more later on the show. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How have you been?
Doing good. So everybody, before we hit record button, I surprised James with a gift. Well, an incoming gift. So basically, I'm for everybody who knows that I'm a big nerd and I collect a bunch of stuff. Well, I frequent into the New York Comic Con, and when you go to New York Comic Con, I've been there as a press, and they give you a bunch of stuff. You're like, here, free stuff, take it. Well, I'm stacked with this. So James is going to get a personal curated box, a geek box from me. Let's just say that he found out his cell phone hang up. He really did. He fainted. It hung up, and we had to get him back on the line, James.
It was a lot to take in before the show started, and I just now can't wait for it all to get here.
Yeah, he was so eager. Everybody, he's texted me his home address, and that's what booted him off the app here. So, nevertheless, James, look forward to that. Maybe when you come back, when you get it, obviously you'll be back between then and now. But when you do get the box, you'll give us your review of the box, the swag bag box you're about to get soon.
Oh yeah,
I'm warning you. I'm warning you now, man. It's gonna be stacked with stuff, man. So. Just brace yourself. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at I am Pledger. James, we have been going over individual players last season, giving a grade. And today it's the young Bucks' turn. It is Josh Primo. He is on the seat here on Locked On.
I drew the Primo straw, huh?
Yeah, you drew the Primo straw. Yeah, we already. By the way, before we dive into the Primo straw here, we gave Jakob Poeltl a B. That was the average. And then we gave Zach Collins a B in the last two player reviews. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Jakob is great for what he is. He's no more than what he is, and he's not going to be more than what he is. So, C plus, B minus sounds about right for Jakob. I think James, he's best coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can upgrade over him, but he's serviceable in the role that he fills right now. So that is an accurate grade for Zach Collins. I'd lean lower. I'd lean in the C because we saw flashes, but let's not act like we saw a bunch of things that we loved out of Zach Collins.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see him for most of the year, and then he had to ramp into play. I mean, we really only got probably a good 10-game sample size out of him. So it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't fantastic. I would probably lean C for Zach Collins.
Okay. A little tough crowd here. Yeah, I think for Jakob is exactly what we said. He is who he is. That's it. And unless he's going to be taking a PhD course in outside shooting, with Steph Curry this offseason, I mean, that's his biggest weakness. But as far as Zach, we were a little lenient with him considering he's coming off a year and a half away from the game. So we gave him a slight pass, but it's the rookie's turn. Let's look at Josh Primo. The 18-year-old came in, turned 19 during the season, and did something that no Spurs rookie in recent years did: get 13 straight starts under Popovich's watch. Towards the end of the season, he hit the rookie wall. James expected, balled out in Austin, looked like he was heads above the rest, and looked okay during his NBA/San Antonio time. What were your overall thoughts on Josh Primo? What did you like, dislike?
I love that I got to see him. That was number one. He played in 50 regular season games. You talked about 13 straight starts, which is unheard of for a Greg Popovich coach team. He averaged a little over 19 minutes a game. So that is far better than anything we've seen in the Greg Popovich era. So those are my likes. I loved seeing that. I love that we got to see him play through some tough times and continue to get starts despite, the learning curve that he had to deal with. Those are positive things that I think will help in his growth from one year to the next.
Did you like how they peppered him throughout the season between Austin and San Antonio? He wasn't heavy Austin, but he was heavy San Antonio. I like the path they took with him last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of what I kind of thought early in the year. I was like, he'll be up and down, but we'll probably start to see him around the All-Star break or February for the rodeo road trip. We kind of did. Injuries laid some role in that. The trade deadline played an even bigger role in that, opening up minutes for him. But it was just good to see in general. He got his learning under him in Austin, and once they felt like he'd done what he could against that level of talent, they brought him up and continued to let him learn and grow under the watchful eye without doing what we continually rip the team for and what they did with Lonnie Walker, which is, all right, you're stuck in, Pop's doghouse. You're no longer starting. You're no longer the sixth man. You're getting like 2 minutes or a DMP coach's decision. Like, we didn't see the weird yanking around of his minutes. It continually grew into a certain role for him.
Yeah.
And he stayed consistent. And I think that's the biggest thing is what they did with him was consistent.
I like that he showed that he had a big pair of stones at times during his NBA time. The game in Brooklyn, nailed the game tying shot, pumping his fists, got the crowd, it's the roster excited. You like the fact that he wasn't afraid to maybe try to force the action, but I get it, he shouldn't be doing that, but I like the fact that he had that little wantingness to do that, to try to really push it. We saw it a lot in Austin, hence he had a lot of high turnover games because he was trying to do a bunch of stuff. And look, in Austin, you can get away with that. San Antonio, he tried to get away with that, but Popovich gave him a leash, but it wasn't that long of a leash where, he let him sit out there while he's fumbling up everything, for a long time. He will let him play through the mistakes, but yank him. There's that famous video of him and Popovich at a fan caught where Popovich is, getting on him and telling him, you got to pay attention to me. I know what I'm telling you. But yet in old Pop would have benched him for like a week. In this situation, he threw him out there the next day or probably in the same game. I like that. Look at some numbers here, James, about Josh Primo's rookie season. As you mentioned, 50 plus game, 51, including the play-in. 19 minutes per game, 5.6 points per game, 2.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists, shot the ball 37% and 30% from the three line. Also shot 75% from the free throw line. Where would you like to see him take his game next season?
Just more aggressiveness offensively, probably. Didn't fare very well. You mentioned some of the stats, the nearly 6 points a game. You'd like to see that come up closer to probably 10 to 15, 30% from three.
Yeah.
You'd like to see that closer to 33, probably 35 to 38 if we're being honest. If we want him to be a consistent part, we'd like to see him. Keldon took a big jump in 3-point percentage from last year to this year. So you'd like to see something like that with Josh Primo, and you'd like to see his minutes come up, which would help with all of these stat lines and creep closer to the 25 to 30 minutes a night, along with what being a starter entails.
Yeah. Yeah, he took 137 threes last year, made 42 of them. So he's not afraid to throw them up. It's just he's got to get a little more accurate about that. I like to see him attack the rim a little bit more and get those free throw attempts up. He was at 1.2 attempts per game. Now I get it. He's a rookie, so he's going to get the rookie treatment. Maybe not get those calls that a veteran would. But I would like to see that spike a bit. One thing that I did take away last year with Josh Primo's rookie season, James, is how composed he was in post-game chats with the media. In game, you rarely saw him get flustered to the point where he checked out. Even when he hit that rookie wall, we all saw it, he was still out there at least trying to get something going.
Yeah, I mean, you love to see the effort that he put in, especially, man, I love seeing what Josh Primo did on the defensive side of the ball. He continued to learn and grow and never back down from a challenge against some really tough competition in the Western Conference against those guards. Josh Primo's defense and the evolution of it throughout the season and his bulldog mentality of just not backing down. He's continually going to give the effort. I thought that was a big part of this season, and one of the reasons that he managed to stay on the floor as a starter for 13 straight games and carve out a role after the trade deadline, and probably why they felt okay making those moves at the trade deadline.
Yeah, you're talking about his defense. He had a game high 4 blocks against Phoenix back in December 6th, and we saw that in Austin. Just the defensive mindset. I spoke with the Austin coach during the season, and he said that was the one biggest thing that impressed him the most and surprised him the most was how good a defender he can be. Physically, too, James, we saw his body just explode. I mean, you said you went to a couple of games and you said you saw his lower half, his trunks look pretty big, his legs.
Yeah, his legs definitely were. When I went to games later in the season, I was kind of shocked because I expected him, especially being as young as he is, to be, more slight of build, closer to DeJounte Murray, maybe Lonnie Walker. But like his lower half, his legs were pretty thick, and that really caught me off guard when I was watching him, which stands to reason why he can hold up against some of those NBA guards.
Yeah. And how much did he embrace the challenge? We saw it throughout the season. He was asked repeatedly, like, "Hey, what does it feel like to be the rookie on that court?" And he said, "Yeah, I see it." He goes, "I see the offensives targeting me. I see defenses is targeting me." So they were after him, and the teams are trying to expose him. But if we're projecting him long term now, I'm glad he went through these ups and downs last year. I'm glad he hit the rookie wall. I mean, he smacked into it. It was bad. I like the fact that he got the Austin experience and then the San Antonio experience, because is it selfish of me to say that I'm expecting a lot more from Primo next season, or should fans be like, just expect a slight increase? What do you think the level of expectation should be for Primo into his sophomore season?
I would love to see a huge jump from him, but
what's a huge jump? Like, what's your definition of a huge jump?
30 to 35 minutes a game, shooting 35% from 3 while averaging somewhere between 11 and 15 points a game. That's a huge jump.
That's a big jump, man. Do you think he can do it?
The possibility is there, but a lot of it's on the player to develop and put in the work the way Keldon Johnson did last season coming into this season. And he had a slow start because of what he did with Team USA and kind of fell out of conditioning after the Team USA season ended and celebrating on that a little bit too much. And it took him a little bit to get going this past season. But when he did, he did. So if he can use that motivation from what Keldon did to get himself ready and for this season, and even DeJounte, who took a huge leap, and follow them around and follow their practice habits and see what it's like to be a pro in the offseason. I
Mhm.
think he could, but I think the person probably most primed to take that bigger jump is going to be Devin Vassell.
I'm right there with you. Can't wait. You know what? I think I'm going to reserve Devin Vassell's recap with you again sometime soon, because I think you have a lot to say about Vassell. We haven't got to him, but no, I mean, with Primo, I think it's selfish, man. I think there's still going to be a lot more learning to go through. Um,
Yeah,
I,
and that's
I don't think it'll be those numbers though. As much as I would
That's
love for those
fair.
numbers to
I
happen.
don't
Yeah,
expect it to be, but
yeah,
you asked what would be.
yeah.
So those are the numbers I threw on him. What would be? What I expect from him is probably closer to 8 to 10 points a game, 30 minutes a game,
Mm-hmm.
and a slight to steady increase rather than a huge jump. I expect
Mm-hmm.
him to become better. Does he have the potential to take a jump? He absolutely does. But this team, the jump comes from, DeJounte Murray realized coming into this year, this was his team.
Mm-hmm.
Being his team, he was the alpha. That led to him taking a huge jump. Keldon Johnson also realizing that he had to be a huge part of this team. He took a big jump this offseason, and especially with his three-point shooting,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that was something that had to increase.
Yeah.
As it comes to Primo, I know he's a part of this team. I still don't know where that part of the team is, especially when we're looking at the draft, free agency still to come, a lot of money for this team. What you could lose Lonnie Walker in free agency, and all of a sudden he goes from being a starter this last half of the year to them putting him in that bench role, maybe filling the void of Lonnie Walker to where he's
Right.
coming off the bench and trying to provide an impact there. Or
Yeah.
maybe that's what they do with Devin Vassell. I don't know, because the offseason is yet to really unfold, so it's hard to kind of project exactly what we see from Josh Primo next year. I know the traits are there for him to do something big. But
Yeah.
this is still a team that is driven by driven by DeJounte and Keldon. The next in line to take that jump, I think, would be Vassell, being 2 years into this now, going into his third, and being primed to take a bigger role on, where Primo is probably fitting closer into more of determining his role on the team after determining his role in the NBA last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am really, really excited for Primo next season. I think the fact that he went through that whole, rookie wall, getting thrown
Mm-hmm.
into the fire. Popovich did say that, yeah. I think he said towards like the middle-ish of the season that he was not going to, that Primo was not going back to the Austin Spurs, that
Mm-hmm.
they're going to throw him into the fire. And they certainly did. So, yeah, I am really glad about that and expecting some big things. But we're not done talking about Primo. We're going to go over a few more stats and give our season grade for him. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about Prize Picks. Look, if you're looking for a daily fantasy option for the NBA, then you need to try the award-winning app Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and we all know you will too. Look, it's easy to use. You pick 2 to 5 players and over and under in the projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Price Picks is safe, offers fast withdrawals, and it's an award-winning app you can find on the App Store and Google Play. There's a variety of options there. Think of any prop, points scored, rebounds, steals. It's there at Price Picks. And look, you can even allow yourself to do mixed sports entries on Price Picks. It's just not just the NBA. Got college basketball, college football, NFL, MLB, and MMA, and much, much more. For a limited time, Price Picks has an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all of our users. They get $50 for free if a player in your first Price Pick entry scores a single point, but you got to use code NBA. That's right. This is an exclusive offer available to Locked On fans. Sign up today. Use code NBA for $50 for free if a player in your first Price Pick entry scores a single point. And while I got your ear, I want to talk to you about Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is great. As a matter of fact, I drank one right before recording this episode. So what is it? So Athletic Greens is just a better way for you to get better gut health, more energy, optimize immune system. And if you hate taking pill after pill and vitamin after vitamin, you can do it in all in one shot with a quick, easy to mix powder. It tastes like a tropical fruit punch flavor. It's really, really good. I've been using it for the last month. I love it. It's super healthy. And as mentioned, it has a mild tropical taste. I actually look forward to drinking it each and every day. Look, you gotta understand it's lifestyle friendly. Whether you're on the keto diet, paleo diet, vegan diet, what have you, it is there for you. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. And look, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients. That's where AG1 Athletic Greens comes in. Costs you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. And Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews and is a climate neutral certified company, which has donated over 1.2 million meals to kids in 2020. Look, you want to go right now to athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Reclaim your health, arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop of Athletic Greens and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for all those pills and supplements to look out for your health. Again, go to athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And hey, if while you're there, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Again, all you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. All right, let's get back to James Pledger right here on Locked On Spurs. He is the co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover. You can find him at the San Antonio Sports Star. James, a few more things about Primo before you give out your grade. Maybe this will convince you where you're going to land. So he finished out the season in the month of April with 7 games, 24.5 minutes per game, was averaging his highest points per game at 7.9. His highest assists per game at 2.9, and kept turnovers about the same from March to April, 1.4. Even played a clean game. Only averaged, didn't up his fouls. He 1.9 fouls per game. Now, it shot 36% from the 3 line in 7 games. Let me put that for you, in 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up his rookie season not too shabby, all things considered. It is a small sample size, but it's time for you to give out your grade. What are you giving the young rookie?
I'm going to give him a solid C. Just a solid C.
Solid C. All right. Why are you going to give him a solid C?
Solid C is, I got to see a lot of things I liked, but at the same time, if you look at the rest of the rookie class, underperformed in comparison. And if you're going to grade rookie of the year, what Evan Mobley or Jalen Green or even Herb Jones in New Orleans as A's and B's, in comparison, you have to give Josh Primo a commensurate score on line with how you feel those other rookies across the NBA did in their first season. Scotty Barnes is obviously an A+.
Right.
So when you look at Josh Primo and what he did, it was a C grade. He fared well. He got minutes. He played. He contributed. It wasn't huge. And there's room for growth, and you see that within it. So, but if you're grading him solely on the performance of what he did in his rookie year, he was okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were.
And that's the basis of my grade. I'm not going to give him an A because he saw minutes. I'm not going to give him an A because, the last 7 games of the year, he ended up playing pretty well. It's a season-long grade, and for the season, he was just okay. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're going to get. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't awful. He didn't look overmatched on the court, but he didn't contribute in the way that you would want to give like an A or an A+ or even a B grade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna give him a C plus. I'm gonna go one up on you here. I like what I saw towards the end of the season. I like that he fought through that rookie wall, as all rookies do.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of cannot blame him for not getting the minutes because it's Popovich still. I know he did a lot of stuff considering he's a rookie under Popovich's watch, but he got sent to the G League. That's not through no fault of his own. So he got no choice. I like that he showed that he had a big set of brass ones from time to time. And I think I'm going to give him a C plus to give room for improvement because there definitely is room for improvement. Turnovers got to cut down. You mentioned the three shot. The three shots got to get up. Free throw attempts got to get up. There's a lot of work, but he's just a 19-year-old kid playing in the professional level. First time for him. Barely got any burn as much with Alabama as well. Physically, he's getting bigger. He's getting stronger. I like where this is going, but I don't want to overshoot it and A plus. No, because there's still a lot of work to do. But I'm gonna give him a C plus. I like what we saw out of the kid. But what do you think about Josh Primo's rookie season? Let us know on Twitter at I am Pledger and me at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So James, there's a bunch of players that have a lot of Spurs ties to San Antonio that are playing in the NBA playoffs right now. I mean, just pick a team right now. Okay, we'll go with Milwaukee. You got George Hill, Coach Bud. You go to the Bucks. I mean, you go to the Celtics. It's Ime and Hardy and Derek White. You go on the East. It's Philadelphia with Danny Green. The list goes on and on and on. Is there a former Spur, whether player or coach, that you're like, you know what? I really want them to have the most success right now in these postseason games.
Absolutely.
Who's that?
It's Ime Udoka. It's the Boston Celtics. I love Jason Tatum as a player. Jaylen Brown is one of the two I kind of really wanted in the Kawhi trade and thought that would have helped kind of at least set a foundation for the Spurs to rebuild quicker. So I took an interest in those two players as, the Kawhi stuff was unfolding. And I not only do I like both of those players, Al Horford, it's the Spurs way, and you've got your guys, and then you start adding veteran pieces around them. Al Horford's one of those great veteran pieces to add around him, kind of in the vein of a David West or Kevin Willis or, players that they've added, Michael Finley, that they've added kind of around their championship teams. And the Boston Celtics, as you know, are the team of the SMHs. The Spurs.
Yeah.
The Spurs have not been relevant in the postseason here over the last few years. So, in order to continue to have fans be able to overwatch the entire league, we started trying to find a team. It came down to a battle between basically Phoenix and the Celtics, and the Celtics won out because the Suns lost out on winning the Ja Morant sweepstakes that year in the draft. So we thought he would be a perfect fit there. It didn't work out, and so we kind of switched and went Celtics, and then Ime Udoka came on board, and the rest is history. But yeah, Robert Williams, the Texas A&M Aggie, probably was robbed in the Defensive Player of the Year finalist category. I know his teammate Marcus Smart ended up winning it, but you look at for a big man and Robert Williams and the opponent shooting percentage when he is the nearest defender being like 27% and being a big man, a lot of those are coming within 5 feet of the rim. And even when he doesn't, he has the ability to switch out on the perimeter and really cause problems. I think that he is a huge piece to what they do. And I'm all in on the Celtics bandwagon right now. Full steam ahead. It is completely in the other conference. So it makes the interest in rooting against San Antonio or the Rockets, in my case, like non-existent unless they would meet in the finals at some point in time. So it makes it an easier route as well, just because they are in the East. So I am I've already seen Coach Bud get his title and Giannis get his. So I would love to see the Boston Celtics kind of bring things back, and the way they did it with draft picks and homegrown talent and then going and getting key free agents to help supplement, it feels very Spursian.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'm pushing for Boston as well. I like the connections there. I know a lot of my friends, in this industry, this media industry, are from Boston. One of my closest friends is from Boston area, so I want him to see that again. So there's a lot of personal ties. I visit Boston frequently. So
And think about it. The flip, when you talk about it, Coach Pop came from the front office down to the sidelines to replace Bob Hill, and Brad Stevens went up from the bench to the front office and was replaced by Ime Udoka. So it's kind of like a weird backwards Spurs transition.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but a lot of Spurs ties is still out there. Memphis. We didn't even touch on Memphis. Just Taylor Jenkins and the other former Austin Spurs coaches on the sideline there. There's God, who am I missing? Miami.
Taylor Jenkins, Miami.
You got Deadman, and Dwayne Deadman in there, and you got it's just so sprinkled out there. It just tells you how wide a net the Spurs.
You saw a lot there with the Utah Jazz while they were still in the postseason.
Absolutely.
You saw it with the Denver Nuggets. You've got obviously the Derek White connection with Boston. You've got it up in Milwaukee with George Hill and Mike Budenholzer. I mean, there is a thread of San Antonio through a lot of this postseason. Monty Williams over in Phoenix.
The list goes on and on. I mean, it is that. I mean, even when my goodness, who was it with even Brooklyn there, as much as they fizzled out, I mean, it was just heavy Spurs.
Patty Mills, Marcus Aldridge,
Sean Marks in the front office. So it's there. Hey, we were gonna dive into James's recap of Multiverse of Madness, but something just happened right now.
I see it too. I was wondering if you were going to switch to it.
Let's get to it now. Everybody's been talking about the whole Spurs games away from San Antonio. The big one is there are a couple games in Austin, Texas. That is what's really triggering Spurs fans. The Spurs attorney went to the commissioner's court to ask for that amendment to their contract. Notably absent was owner, or Peter J. Holt, or should I say, the owner, the majority owner of the Spurs. He wasn't there. He didn't have a statement. Then he just put a statement out. Now it's a very long statement, so we're not going to read it all, but we'll just touch on some highlights. We'll get James's reaction in just a few seconds. One thing he says, that he loves the city, that with the big city, with casual town feel. He talks about, taking in some of the sights, the big green trees, eating food at a couple of restaurants in San Antonio, and saying, yes, San Antonio has the best tacos. Just going on about memories of the Spurs and other fans, members of the Spurs, the ties to the community inside of Bear County. He highlighted it. He wrapped it up, though, by saying, and I'll read this quote: "There are no Spurs without the city and the people of San Antonio. Your team, our team, together we are the silver and black. Spurs fans, we are here to stay. Por vida." And then he signed his name, Peter J. Holt. James, you had a chance to look through it. Your thoughts, and I guess maybe back to the buying or selling this.
I don't want to put money one way or the other.
I know.
It's a great thing. Where was this like a week and a half ago when this was actually a story 2 weeks ago?
Right.
Like, why did it take 2 weeks to craft this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraph statement?
The timing is interesting. Yep.
Yeah, the timing's interesting. And sure, there's no plan to leave the city. We are here to stay. All right. only time will tell. That's the only thing that really is going to
and think about this too.
to the city.
And think about it too. They have another meeting with the court next week, so there's that. Didn't Nelson Wolf, the commissioner, say like, "Hey, we want the fans to chime in"? So fans are about to chime in right now on the Spurs social media. That's where it was released. So it's interesting though, but technically they're here till 2032. That's when the lease with the county is done. So, and then there's something big that is possibly looming too: repairs to the AT&T Center, or a brand new arena, maybe in a different location. That will be interesting. That will be very, very interesting, because if they put up to a vote, and let's just say the citizens of San Antonio say no to it, that changes everything, James, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everything eventually ends up coming down to how we feel, how they feel in terms of whether or not they feel loved by the city. So we'll find out when the time comes to build a new stadium, if the city is truly behind them or not, because that's what it always comes down to. And I personally would rather a new stadium be built elsewhere, because I know they have plans to resurrect that part of town along with building the AT&T Center there and turn it more kind of like downtown San Antonio has turned, and getting more renovated and hip and having that part of the city come alive. It just never happened.
Yeah.
And so putting it in a part of town that is probably a little bit more to do around it. Like, there's nothing to do around the AT&T Center.
Not at all.
You go to the game.
They try
and
to keep you there. Yeah. Well, they try to keep you there with the concerts and the club they have.
Well, sure, and that's going to serve its purpose. That's not going to go away. It's still going to be a concert venue. It's still probably going to be a rodeo venue, and the Spurs will get something newer, more state of the art to host different events that won't include the rodeo this time, I'm guessing. That would be my biggest guess, is they're looking for something that would allow them to not have to do the rodeo road trip.
Yeah. Yeah, and during games themselves, after the games, they usually advertise, the Bud Light, what is called the Bud Light area, which is outside
the
doors.
courtyard plaza, whatever it is.
Yeah, they try to keep you there, but surrounding the arena, for those who've never been to the AT&T Center, it's smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. It literally is just a neighborhood, and I think there's like maybe a manufacturing place across the street.
It's not a great part of town to be able to like pour out of the game and then go do things. Like, at least at the Alamo Dome, you could pour out of the game and fall onto the Riverwalk, and there's tons of bars and nightlife and things to do once you're done. That they don't have that with the AT&T Center. The AT&T Center is a one-trick pony. It is a venue to do stuff, and then you're done. It brings nothing else to the surrounding community.
Absolutely. And that was the promise years and years ago, when it was then called the SBC Center, that it was going to revitalize the east side of San Antonio. Never did. And hopefully, things will change in the near future, whether it be renovations or maybe development in that area. Who knows? But yeah, interesting that the Peter J. Holt put this out. Look, it reads very heartfelt. It's, he talks about even David Robinson bobbleheads and curtains at the Alamo Dome. He's talked about.
I love the fact that it mentioned he was 12 when they won the first championship in '99. I had zero clue this guy was younger than me.
Oh yeah, no, he's a kid, man. He is a kid. But then again, everybody's a kid to us, you and me, James. So, but yeah, it's there. If you want to go to the Spurs social media, you can read it for yourself. But yeah, I mean, look, it's very nice. It's very heartfelt. It's penned well. And yep, next week the Spurs will go back to court and try to get their I think they're going back for to submit a draft and to get that second year, right? Because they calling it 1 year pilot program. I think they want.
It's approved for one there, and they had to go back. So we'll see. But man, I just I don't know. There's something about this, seeing this. It's the timing of it. It's just so
Yeah.
late. Like I had already forgotten about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But it's been on the minds of Spurs fans, and we're still talking about here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, before we get into James's thoughts on Multiverse of Madness, I want to talk to you about our partners at Bet Online that continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find all the latest odds, news, sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. It's all there at BetOnline. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting, playoffs, esports, and much, much more. The futures, I love going there to see their futures. They have one on Popovich, whether he's coming back or not. They have some even on Becky Hammond, and if she will become an NBA coach in the near future, even though she's coaching the WNBA. They have it all there for you. Go to BetOnline right now. Head to the website today. Get on your laptop, your mobile device, and learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're back with James Pledger right here on Locked On Spurs, and it is a moment of truth. He has seen the Doctor Strange movie, the newest edition, the Multiverse of Madness. It's been very dividing movie. Some fans like it. Some fans think it's great. Some fans think it's all right. James, I believe what you saw it like 100 times by now.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times.
Your thoughts? What did you think about it? What is your review?
It was a B- movie. It was good, not great. It was okay. I didn't see a whole lot of character development. There was issues within the movie and plot itself. I felt like it didn't really drive itself. The cameos were cool, but I felt like they were almost kind of given away within the trailers. Like there wasn't like that huge Toby and Andrew. While we knew it was coming, the reveal was like shocking the crowd and everybody lost their mind. Like we didn't really have that huge moment, I don't think, within this film. And it just led it to being a decent film.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's great. I don't know where it stands in the total hierarchy of Marvel in terms of what it's going to set the table for the future, but there are a lot of unanswered questions within it on how certain characters power scaled, how other players will play into the future, what's going on in the end credit scene. There's just a lot of what if left within this movie, and it leaves you just kind of wanting more answers. Like, how did it tie into other movies? Does it tie into other movies? And I'm sure it does, but it also totally nerfed a story that I thought was well done from earlier. So I'm trying not to give any spoilers.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
But it's okay.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I'm right there with you.
Not great.
I'm right there with you. It was okay. It was good. It was all right. But it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm leaving the theater like we did with No Way Home or Far From Home. The way we did with
No Way Home.
No Way Home, thank you. The way we did with Endgame or
Endgame.
Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Yeah. It didn't leave you
Even
like that.
Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War just left your mouth dropped like, whoa, like Captain's world just got rocked, that level. And you didn't see that.
Reveal.
Spider-Man, the Enter the Spider-Verse, the way you left that movie, you're like, whoa, this is Miles Morales. This is his origin story. This is awesome. But yeah, I think the trailer gave way too much away. Everybody's already seen the yellow chair, and I think you all know what that means. And they gave it away in the trailer.
You saw Captain Carter's shield in the trailer.
Yep, like gave it away. Yep, gave it away. I agree with you. I don't like the power distribution because you can let Wanda do her thing. Again, I'm not revealing anything, but yet you neuter Hulk. That doesn't make sense to me. that doesn't make sense to me.
And Wanda is one of the strongest characters in all of Marvel. I mean, she can
Right.
literally reshape reality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I'm talking about the power scaling. Like, why would they do that to one of the most powerful characters, Hulk, and let Wanda like have fun? And I'm not going to bash it completely. Were there good things? Absolutely. The fan service was great. Wanda getting the spotlight was phenomenal. The hints and the tie-ins to the what if stories and on Disney Plus. Strange's comments about past movies was good. I like that. But it just didn't push the MCU further. It felt like what it felt like, James? This could have been Disney Plus, a series. That's what it felt
yeah,
like. It could have
I
been a
thought
Disney
that.
Plus series. Yeah.
The more I get away from it, the more I thought that.
Yeah, and that's what it is. But it's definitely not cracking my top 10. Although I get
no.
although I get a lot of grief though, because I still have Winter as number one in my book. Number one.
It was really cool. There wasn't a whole lot of development or growth or anything with America Chavez in it, and I felt like Wanda's story was sorely undone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because well, again, it's hard to talk about it without spoiling the movie. But
and once again, Doctor Strange is there's no real character growth for him either.
I mean, now was there a power growth? Yes, there was a power growth, but character growth, it was kind of he's still the same. He's still yeah. So but it's interesting to see that this is the movie that really, really got fans divided. Because there are some fans that think it's great. It's awesome. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
It was
James.
a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I never bashed it. I never say it was horrible. It was just could have been a lot. I went in there, and my fault. Maybe I should have done this. I went in there with a lot of high expectations.
I did too.
I did. I went in there with a lot of high expectations.
But I did with No Way Home too, and that lived up to the billing. So,
yeah. Well, we're done with this movie review portion of Locked On Spurs. We got to hear what you have to think about anything we talked about here, whether it be your thoughts on the new Doctor Strange movie, Peter J. Holt's statement regarding the Spurs aren't going anywhere as of now, and your thoughts on Josh Primo and which former Spur you're rooting for that is still playing in the NBA playoffs. James, we teased it a lot throughout the show. Tell us what's going on at the Star.
Oh man, we are busy as always, as we've been dealing with a lot of the NBA playoffs right now. Of course, the fallout of the NFL draft. Now the second part of free agency. The NFL schedule is about to release. News coming down every day. The NIL and how it's changing the college landscape. That all starts weekday mornings at 7 o'clock on R&R in the morning as Rudy, Rob, and myself get you going. And then after that, we've got halftime with our man Michael Jimenez. It takes you from 12 to 2 as he'll get you caught up on everything sports, pop culture, nostalgia. And then we got, of course, the flagship, The Blitz with Jason Minix and Joe Reinagle as they take you home from 4 to 7. And then, of course, a weekend, myself and Jack Thompson, we bring you the Saturday morning hangover where we just kind of catch up on the week's stories, get you ready for the weekend. And then it's followed by the Sunday Sports Grill from 11 to 1 on Sundays.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right there. I tune in almost every day, especially when James is doing his thing, whether it be on the Saturday morning hangover or just at the Blitz, halftime, whatever. It's a really good programming slate for all of San Antonio and the world. Really, if you're a fan outside of San Antonio, lives in Japan, just go to their website and listen to them. So really good shows out there. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, and we're now on YouTube. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. So for James, Dr. Strange, Pledger, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.